Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing, my friend? My name is Talia Joy. I am so excited to be here today. Welcome back, my friends. So, a couple things in this intro. I said last week that I was going to give you an update on the show and what's going on, and I totally didn't because I was so wrapped up in the topic and I'm so passionate about that I didn't circle back. So I'm going to give you a tiny little update here in the intro, but I'm really excited that you're here. If you are new here, my name is Talia Joy. Hello, hello. This is where we step 2 feet in to creating the life that we see for ourselves in our mind's eye, because the truth is all the work you've done, all the healing you've done, all the self-growth, the books, the programs, the challenges, the meditations, all the things you've done, it's all been adding up to now. It is ready to crystallize, and you do not have to wait. You do not have to go through 100 more core wound excavation programs. There will always be room to heal, always be room to grow, but I'm here to tell you right now that there is more ready to just jump in and pop into your experience than what you may be aware of. So this episode is really going to help you with that, with the lens. We're talking about this. We're talking about entering your own shift phase, where we come to this gritty place that the risk to stay where we are becomes bigger than the risk that it takes to go out, to create your dreams, to move through, to sink into your body, to regulate, to apply the work, the place where we are really ready for change. So I'm really excited to be here in this episode with you. And as the little update on the show, I'll be quick before we dive in. Over the past year or so, as you guys have known, if you've been listening along, I've been sharing. But on the show, I haven't done as many guest episodes. I've been going through a lot behind the scenes. Everything is goo. I've had to shut down things and, weep on the floor a bit and go through my whole butterfly chrysalis thing. So I haven't been doing as many guest episodes as I used to, but I'm really excited to bring more voices and perspectives into the show again in the coming months. I'm excited to bring it into 2026. I'm talking to some really neat potential guests, and I'm excited to do that because I know a lot of you really love the guest episodes, and I just haven't been doing them in the last year, but they will be coming back in the next few months. So that's really fun. And at the same time, I want to be really honest with you guys here on the podcast, because a lot of you have been around the block with me. You've been around for over 4 years. A lot of people are new in that time as well. But I really want to be honest with you, not just when it comes to growth and my own personal stories and, being transparent and all of that, but when it comes to my business, as things shift that I feel the need to update you guys on, I want to always do that. So I want to be open and honest about where I am putting my energy these days. As I've gone through a rebirth in myself and in my business, it's becoming more clear. So the Awakening Her podcast here is the entry point. This is where you dip your toe into my world. This is where we talk about broader conversations and topics. Sometimes we go really deep. There's things of old souls and empaths and starseeds and different things, but we're talking a lot about self-growth, manifestation, applying it to your everyday life, and basically principles to give you what I would say is like a quick win or a hit of inspiration or a moment of clarity to give you something to help you along in your path, if whatever episode you're listening to resonates with you. So as the energy within myself has shifted, the energy within my business has also shifted. And I have realized more than ever that I am here for big things, and I'm here for quality over quantity. And this has been something that's been coming up in every area of my life because, as a lot of you know, some of you may not, I'm also a mom of 3. I've got a lot going on in my everyday life. I'm a wife to my soulmate. I've got a physical, tangible life where I'm making dinner and doing laundry and all those things that everybody else is doing. And then I have a podcast. I have my membership. I just hosted the retreat. I have clients. So everything is shifting all together, but also the business in some ways is separate from my personal life, but the growth is with everything. So in everything right now, I am here for big things, and I am here for quality over quantity. I have done over 10 years in this sort of business. Of course, it's morphed and changed, but posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook, over 4 years of 2 episodes a week on the Awakening Her podcast. Like, I have done so many things And as I mature, and if you from back in the day remember, I'd say, as I mature, I need to not be putting out all of my energy. It's funny, it's 1:11 right now. Putting out all of my energy and becoming depleted and noticing that I'm exhausted in my everyday life. I don't have as much to give back to my kids. I'm not, going on my walks or pouring into my health. Like there was a lot going on in this last year that I realized I put so much into this business from the morning to the night and behind the scenes. And that's my thing. I'm taking accountability for that because I have created every single aspect of this business. I'm the one who commits to these things. So what I've realized is I need to focus on quality over quantity and not just constantly pouring out things that don't have a return. And on that, I don't just mean monetary. I mean, if it doesn't feel rewarding, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't seem evident that it's like really helping people, and I'm becoming financially or emotionally depleted or whatever, I just can't. I'm just not going to do that anymore. And I think all of us go through this, right? In our life, it might be friendships, or maybe it's a job where you're like, listen, like I need to be paid more to come in to do this. Or maybe it's a friendship. It's like, I need more from this friendship. This is exhausting. And so we go through this. So in my business, there's been I just saw the image of like a car wash, like a rebirth of like, okay, what do we really want to pour our energy into moving forward? So as I said, the Awakening Her podcast, we're going to still stay here. We're going to do guests. I'm not quite sure if it's 1 or 2 episodes a week, but I'm going to be consistent and show up the way I always have for 4 years, minus the last like 2 months. It's been a little rocky, but I've been here. But because I'm not here for fluff, I am not doing anything that does not feel incredibly high level, high value, and here for the highest potency, highest results for you, for the person that's in the program. So I am focusing on my one-on-one clients. I have just done the retreat, the wait list for the next retreat that is already being planned. You can click the link below to get on the wait list and you'll get, the best deal signing up. You'll also get early access and all these fun things. So the retreat, high potency, people who are 2 feet into their life, me showing up 2 feet in, thriving on the razor's edge, channeling, guiding meditations, teaching, being with you in person feels so high potency that I'm just here for it. So that's one of the things that is definitely going to be going with me as I move forward. And I can see doing several retreats per year in different areas of the world. So we got the first one underway. Now we're planning the second one and we'll just see where that goes to. But in this, as I said, I'm not going to be offering a lot of fluff. I'm not going to be offering a lot of random workshops and random programs. I'm probably not going to do any of that unless I am deeply called. So if you are here to learn from me, or if you feel like my message, my team of light, etc., is really potent in this time, you love this work, these are the ways that you can not just dip your toe, but step into the building of this work to quantum leap now, not just hearing more and more information and more manifestation 101 that you like see out there in the world. If you're really ready for this beyond the surface level and you're not a newbie to self-growth and all this stuff, this is how you can work with me. So the Path app, this is the place for daily grounding practices. It's just an app. It's $11.11 per month. There's tons of meditations, articles, journal prompts. I look forward to adding more and more content as we move forward. The Path app, it's in your pocket, staying aligned, using the tools, hearing my voice, having me there, guiding you through. Then we have On the Path, which is a hidden gem in my business. This is where I am your mentor in your pocket. And I cannot tell you how many people have genuinely expressed how On the Path has changed their life. This is my membership. It's only $27 a month. The price will be going up soon because it is so high level that I need to call forward the high level people. I don't mean that as in like judgment on people. I mean the people that are seeking this type of information. So On the Path is for ongoing support, high level education, integration, faster growth, saving you time, getting the practices. I won't go on and on, but we have monthly themes where we're focusing on something. And every week you're getting a weekly practice as well as a deep dive. And this truly moves you forward. This is the high level of a mentor in your pocket. So On the Path is the private community. It's hosted on a private podcast, so you'll be listening similar to this, but it's high level education and practices to move forward day by day. I also have something I have almost never been so excited for, and it's called Life of Magic. Our live round is starting 10/10. So we start on the 10/10 portal, and then it's going to be available later, but you won't have the live community component, me answering questions, all the stuff. But Life of Magic is a 21-day fast track. Okay. This is quantum leaping beyond the surface, bending reality, shifting the complete way you interact with life. If you're an old soul, if you're here for quantum leaps and transformation, if you see magic and money and success and health in your future, you gotta jump into Life of Magic. If you're a quantum queen like me, I don't know if that sounded very weird and non-natural, but if you are here for non-ordinary results, you gotta jump into Life of Magic. It's so powerful. I will put the link below. We start 10/10. Then we have private mentorship. And private mentorship is for deep acceleration, true quantum leaps through one-on-one work. So me giving you practices, my team of light channeling, me interacting with your soul and your team of light, but also the very tangible self-growth, personal transformation. This is where we go all in and you invest in yourself fully. So that's my private mentorship. I only take a few clients at a time. So you can reach out, see if that's right for you. All the links to everything are below. And then we finally have the retreats. As I mentioned, I'll just briefly mention again, you can get on the wait list for the 2026 retreats. And this is full immersion, full embodiment, where you have experiences that leave you changed. So in this, I may not be offering much else because I need to focus on the potency and calling forward the people that have their hand up that are going, yes, I am in. When you are ready to invest in yourself, the time, the energy, the decision to move yourself forward, that is when I come into your life. So I just want to share that. I won't go on and on. We need to dive into today's episode because there is a lot in this episode. So thank you for listening. Everything linked is below, and let's move on to the episode. Okay, so thank you for bearing with me in that intro. Even if you skipped past, it's all good. Thank you for being here. So let's dive in. I went through my own deep, dark night of the soul, as I've been talking about. There were moments where nothing felt right. I've given you the updates in the last previous episodes. I've weaved in what's been going on. But in essence, my body hurt. My mind was overwhelmed. My spirit felt heavy. My inner child felt sad and alone, and everything was coming up. And I sat with that pain. As I've talked about, I used my tools. I hugged my inner child as I'm weeping on the floor. But I realized that I was carrying everything. And it was so heavy. All of the experiences, all of the things I've internalized and the beliefs, it just felt heavy. And I think I touched on this in the previous episode, especially because it was like from darkness to light. I started lightening up, but that is the point at the very bottom where it almost feels too heavy to continue carrying. Like you just get to this place where you're like, I need to change. This is not a way to live. Whether it's something in your physical life, in your mind, it could even just be in one area of your business. Maybe your whole life looks very successful, but when it comes to work, you are, draining yourself and you're always at the office and you're not with your family or whatever it is. We get to this pivotal point that is called the shift. And you'll read about it in my book that is coming out in a few months. But this is the moment when the risk of staying the same becomes heavier than the risk of changing. This is when we finally say, I'm done playing small. I'm finished. I'm done not doing this. And I'm going to show up for myself in a new way. And it could be a very rock bottom time, like how we think of rock bottoms, where you're losing everything or you get fired or whatever. But really, it's about internally, where we decide to live while we're alive. In Life of Magic, I have a whole day on this, to live while you're alive. But we get to that place where we have to make that decision. And for me, as I talked about with the identity piece and the retreat and everything, I decided finally to be like, F it. I'm tired of being like next year and maybe later and when I have a bigger community or when the economy, blah, blah, blah. And I decided to step into it. And it was terrifying. And it started with going to the website and finding, I already knew the retreat center I wanted to do it at for this one, but going back and getting the phone number and calling or emailing or whatever. And it was scary, but I was like, that's it. I'm done not doing it. It is terrifying to build something expensive and hoping that people buy in, hoping that it lands, hoping that I get at least a couple people that say yes, or else this whole thing could be this giant flop. And that was scary. But it became more scary to go another year of not doing something that my soul was calling for. So every detail, every decision, every moment felt scary and overwhelming. And my old lens that I had on my life would say, this is impossible. You know how many times you've created something and people don't sign up, or, they're going to reject you. It's going to flop, whatever it was. My old lens could have told me that. But in my shift, it pushed me to move beyond the fear because the grit took over. And as I said, yes, it's terrifying to trust that if you build it, they'll come, whatever that means for you. Or if you go all in on yourself, that you're worth it, or that you could overhaul your health or whatever it is going on. But isn't it more scary to not? And that's, again, where my whole business, this is who I want to talk to, is that person, you, who is in that place of going, I am ready for my shift. The smallness sucks, or the fear, or there's been hesitation or maybe self-sabotage. We all experience that, but it's those that make the decision to move past that. Success is only for the scrappy people who just do not give up. So the shift happens when we're at, in some ways, a bottom, when you look at trajectory, or say there's a pendulum, like right at that bottom point, right before you pivot into a higher frequency and a higher experience. So I want to talk about in this episode, not just the shift, but how our lens and our perception shapes everything, and how it's a massive catalyst to really catapult you out of the shift, or into your shift, I guess, through your shift. There we go. So one of the most powerful lessons I've learned in my life, and had to relearn and then freaking relearn again, is that your perception is everything. How we interpret what happens in our lives shapes our reality. And this is why, one of the reasons why Life of Magic is so powerful, because you're going to learn things you can't unlearn. Things that just do change you. And this is one of those things. I'm just going to paint an example first, a very real example. If your car breaks down and you have this lens on your life of struggle, and we all do this isn't judgment. I have ways where I have a lens of struggle and victim and all that, but we're just talking real today because I want real results for you. So if your car breaks down and you see it through the lens of struggle, you're going to see it as, why does this happen to me? Bad luck always happens. Or maybe it's like, this is so expensive, because you've been living in a lens of lack and scarcity. And we go, oh my God, this is so expensive. I can't afford this. Like, just when I get ahead, then this happens. Again, very normal. However, it's not going to get you where you want to go. That is the lens of struggle, the lens of why does this happen to me, the lens of victim, which again, we have love for. There are more than 100 episodes on this show about healing and about healing to manifest. And this is all very important. However, when you're in the shift, this is where we get into an active place of change. So this story of why does this always happen to me creates stress. It perpetuates bad shit happening, like for real. It aids in, or it makes us more frustrated. It gives resistance in our life. It creates resistance in our life. But if you shift your lens to maybe one, we're going to talk about neutrality in this episode, but if we switch our lens to one of neutrality, and maybe the thoughts start becoming, okay, this sucks. I didn't plan on this, but here we are. And what am I making this mean? Well, I drive a car. Cars need maintenance. Everybody in the world knows that sometimes with a car, it gives you lots of warning. You get a light, then you take it in, it's all good. And sometimes you end up on the side of the road. Almost every single person in this life, from a flat tire to an oil light to a whatever the check engine light, has been in the position where all of a sudden something happens to a car. It does suck, but what can we make this mean? I drive a car. Cars need maintenance. Sometimes shit happens. That could even be the lens, right? Okay. When we see it like that, we go, okay, this sucks. And maybe later tonight, I'm going to need an extra big cup of tea or to meditate or whatever it is, regulate. But also, what do I need to do from here? And then instead of going like, oh my God, I can't, we start to get resourceful. We go, okay, I could get it towed. We start making decisions. We call a friend. We realize we have the money in savings, or we ask a parent, or we just take it one step at a time. And instead of it being just one more bad thing that happens to you, it could literally mean like cars need maintenance. That's how non-personal and non-emotional it could be. Your perception is the lens through which you experience your entire life. And a lot of this life is between you and that beautiful brain of yours. And if your life and your brain is geared towards shitty things always happen and I can never get out of this and everywhere I turn there's something shitty, you're going to continue to see that. What you perceive is all you can receive. And I've used this example as well on the show before because I think it just really paints it. So if you or someone you know have the perception that all men are assholes, right? A lot of people have had trauma with men. A lot of people have had bad experiences with men. So if you have that experience that all men are dishonest or maybe all men are cheaters, no matter who you meet, that is the lens you are using or that you're seeing through. So maybe a friend has a new boyfriend, you're going to go, careful, all men are cheaters. And she might go, no, I actually really trust him. He's very loyal. He's very grounded or whatever. No. You wait, right? And you're going to start, or that person with the lens is going to start interpreting things as like, it's only going to be a matter of time. They're going to cheat because that's the belief. So if that person started dating someone, every time they're on their phone, it's going to be like, oh, he's probably chatting with another woman. You know what I mean? Like we have all been in this place. We all know people who function so strongly through these filters that no matter what happens to them, they're anticipating something bad, or this guy must be an asshole. He must be lying. Sorry, I'm swearing a lot today. I'll tone it down. He must be lying. He must be deceptive, right? That is a really good example of how even if that person was on a dating app, everyone they met, they'd be skeptical. They'd basically be arms crossed in energy, waiting for something bad to happen. So no matter what actually happens, they are seeing it through a different lens. And if somebody who was more open, who said, yeah, I've had some bad experiences, but I do believe there are good people out there of every gender. And I do believe that there could be someone out there. So I'm just going to really use my intuition. I'm going to be cautious and safe and not just, fall in and trust everybody. But I'm not going to go into it also thinking that he's probably lying. That could be a more neutral way to view your experience. So as you move through your shift and you get to that place where you're like, I'm done, we are changing, incremental upgrades, Monday is today. I don't actually mean it's Monday today, but Monday is today. We start today. It's day one. It's not, you realize that it's not about waiting for the perfect time or ideal circumstances. I actually now have shifted my perspective a little bit on things like divine timing, because I do believe there is a such thing as divine timing. It's not that doesn't exist, but a lot of us are waiting for the clouds to part before we take an action. And the shift is waiting for you to take an action so that the clouds can part. So once you recognize you're ready for the shift, action actually is key. And action could be going for a walk. It could be hiring a mentor. It could be reading a book, every day for 15 minutes that really moves you forward. It could be hiring a personal trainer. It could be starting a business. It could be the tiniest thing like regulating your body, or some huge thing of investing this huge amount. Action is key though in the shift. It's not about waiting for perfect timing or until you're ready or until you're healed. Please do not wait until you're healed to move forward in your life, because I don't know if I'll ever be healed, but I take the healing work, as we just talked about all month on the path last month, healing in action. We take the healing work, we take the worthiness work, we take the stuff we've moved through and uncovered, and we put it into action, and we show up for ourselves fully and deliberately. That's the shift. So what would it take for you to step forward into your own shift, where we are not even looking back? We're not saying, are we or aren't we? We're not with one toe in each boat. Because think of like two canoes and you have one foot in each canoe. They're just going to start drifting apart, and you're going to do the splits, and then you're going to fall in the water. And yes, it'd be funny in like a comedy movie with like Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler or something. But in our life, we don't want one foot in the past, one foot in hesitation, and one foot in I'm a deliberate creator. Because what you put out is what you receive. So if you're sitting there going like, yes, I'm a deliberate creator and I can manifest everything, and then literally turning around and going like, oh, why do I suck so bad? Why do I sabotage? I can't. We have one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas at the same time. We are holding ourselves back. So we need to start taking deliberate action to move ourselves through the shift so that the clouds can part. I'm telling you, in Life of Magic, you will see magic. We're even working on, before the program starts, if you join before 10/10, we're working on manifesting the money back that you invested in it within the first week. So you can truly see that you are the deliberate creator. Anyway, a client of mine realized, I wanted to share this, that she had been in a career that was draining her. She hated her job. She would literally say to Lee, I hate my job. And the risk of staying all of a sudden became heavier than leaving. So forever, she's like, I can't leave my benefits, and it is something consistent, and I don't want to leave without having another job. And that all totally makes sense. But she got to a point where she was like, you know what? I'm done. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be irresponsible, but I'm going to tell them as of, I think it was like April 1st at the time, but it was a few months ahead. As of this date, I'm leaving. So she made that decision. So because then she decided she was leaving, before she even told her work, because she gave herself like 2 months, she started looking at ads online, and she started looking at community, job postings, and totally opening herself up to what could be next. And by the time it all shook down, she gave her notice, started a new job, had 1 week where she was actually overlapping the jobs, but it worked because the new one had much more flexibility and from home and all this stuff. So she could do 2 for like 1 week, and she just sort of glided, for lack of better words, into the new job. But she said to me after, she's like, she just said this to me a couple months ago, like, Talia, I kept waiting until another job came to make the decision. But once I made the decision, the other job came. And that was a whole conversation, because with my one-on-ones, I do voice memos. So I was just like, that opened up this whole conversation of channeling and just, yes, this is how it works. It's like a mother duck with all her baby ducks. The mother duck doesn't wait for the baby ducks to start walking. The mother duck just starts walking, and the baby starts scrambling to get behind her. As we start walking, the universe starts to align to support us. So once she decided she was done, it opened her energy up. And then she also took action by looking for ads and, talking to friends and really putting it out there. Her energy shifted. She opened the door. And that's what it takes. So we think it takes one big action. It has to be the right action. And what if I take a wrong action? But really, it's more about a decision. When I came out of my eating disorder, you'll read about it more in depth in the book, but some of you have told the story. There literally was a moment where I decided this is the last moment I have an eating disorder after over a decade. But it wasn't that I was healed and I was fine with food and my body. It actually wasn't that at all. It was very much near the beginning when I was not okay and I had no idea how I was going to do it. But it was the identity, because I actually really enjoyed the identity of the eating disorder while I was in it. But as I moved out of it, I was like, this is the last minute. And that's what opened me up intuitively into, funny enough, intuitive eating and treating my body with love. And what would that look like? But it came from the decision. So I want you to start to think about the lens that you view your life with as this aids into your shift. So as we go about our day, and again, please join Life Magic, because you're going to learn so many ways to shift our perspective into one of miracles. And it's going to be really tangible and something that's just going to change your life. I can't say that enough. But what we can start to do for the sake of this episode is we start to see life through the lens of growth and through the lens of like, I'm doing it. So when I decided to do the retreat, there were things the whole time that like this fell through, and I was getting the people who signed up in early bird massages, and the woman fell through for the massages, and I had to find somebody else. And there were lots of things where it kind of was scritchy, and like I owed the retreat center a payment, but I hadn't had someone sign up that week, and it was like kind of hairy for like figuring it out. But every time something kind of flopped or I was nervous, or it didn't look like, oh crap, this doesn't look like it's going well, I would stop. And the lens I would use, and my husband heard me say this to myself many times, I am doing big things. And when you're doing big things, you have to just make judgment calls and make executive decisions. So I realized I was making high pressure situations or decisions, because say the massages, people, I had told them you're getting a massage that signed up in the early bird, and then someone cancels and I'm going like, oh my God, what do I do? They're expecting a massage, and like that, But I just decided that this is what happens when you make big decisions. If I had millions of dollars, I'd be making big payments of taxes or big decisions with real estate. If you're, doing anything big, whether it's athletic or in your field or at your job or with your kids or writing a book or anything, there are going to be big girl pants moments. If you haven't heard me say that before, that's something I say. But big girl pants moments where you have to just make a decision. And so I'd stop and I'd start being frazzled and like, this isn't happening and this is falling through and oh my gosh. And I'd stop and go, this is just high stakes because I'm doing big things. That's the lens that I saw the experience through, instead of like, oh, another thing. Or even saying like, what? Like, I thought this was so aligned and I'm taking action, and like, why is this happening? That's a lot of the times what we do, but we just need to shift the lens. I'm doing big shit and things fall through. If anyone's ever planned a wedding, planned an event, whatever, planned a vacation, they say allow for things to crumble, allow some extra time because the cab might not show up or the band might cancel a week before. Literally, the people making my husband and my wedding rings bailed on us a week before the wedding when the rings were supposed to be done. We didn't even have rings on the wedding day because it fell through. But what we took that to mean is those people making our rings were not the right vibe. And who we ended up finding was this gorgeous soul with beautiful artistry, and she handmade jewelry, and I used a diamond from one of my Nana's rings, and the whole thing was so much more meaningful. So do I look at it as, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be getting married, or why do bad things happen to me on my wedding day, right? Or do I go, there must have been a reason that fell through. And now 13 years later, I'm like, there was so a reason. Our rings are so much better now. So we have to check ourselves with the lens that we are putting over our experience. And when we say, how could this be helping me grow? How could this be helping me move forward? How could this help me to strengthen my resolve, to make decisions, to regulate my body, to be the CEO? In some ways, the resistance that comes up actually makes us stronger when we apply that lens. When you're working out, it's the resistance that builds muscle. It's the weight on your bicep that rips the tiny little things, the tiny little fibers that build back stronger. The butterfly in the chrysalis is pushing against the chrysalis and then finally comes out. And all of that pushing was building its legs and building its strength and its wings. In the womb, a baby kicks and moves around, and actually resistance is what causes growth. So if you say, I'm going to walk every day and then tomorrow it's raining, instead of going like, oh, typical, and now I'm going to get my shoes wet and like that, this always happens to me. This is strengthening my resolve. I'm going for a walk anyway. That opens portals. That parts the clouds. We have to decide, and then the universe will align all the little ducks behind us to support us. But we are the ones walking through our experience. The universe doesn't do that for us. It is a huge supporting role, but it cannot walk the path for us. So as you go through your shift, I want to first ask, what are you ready to say? Like, this is the last day that I struggle with blank, or this is the last day that I have the identity as someone who this, or this is the last day where I don't show up for myself, or whatever it is for you. Decide you're in the shift now and don't look back. Look forward. And then I want you to apply that lens to everything you're doing. Try it for a day or two and just say, if this was actually helping me grow, how would it be helping me grow? I've done this so much over the years, like over the last decade even. I'll use traffic as a time to practice patience. My kids roll their eyes because I'll be like, oh, this is the perfect time to practice patience. They're like, oh my God, Mom. But it is the lens that we see our life through that shapes us. Is traffic personal against me? Is my car breaking down while I'm on a healing road trip, like reconciling with my soul? If any of you guys know, you know. Remember that? If my car breaks down, is this against me? Or is this somehow making me stronger and more resilient? That's what I choose. My success is inevitable because I decided it's so. And everything that does or doesn't work really just takes me forward. If somebody reached out to me and says, I want to work with you, and then I give them all the information, they're like, oh my God, that's way too expensive, or oh my God, that's dumb. I could look at that like, oh my God, I should quit, or I should charge only $1 for my mentorship or something. Or I can look at it as the universe is kind of oil and watering. The people who are not meant for me are going to be in some ways repelled. And that's a thing with even marketing and a business and stuff. They say, I forget what it's called now, some of you guys, I'm sure, polarizing, I think, marketing, where you stand strong and you'll either repel some people, but you will repel some people, but you will attract others. So if you think of that away from business and more like in your life, when you step 2 feet into a powerful place, there are people that are going to be like, oh, you've changed. And I want to say, thank friggin' God I've changed. Like, I'm glad I've changed. Should I be the same as I was 5 years ago, right? So we want to be deciding in our life. We decide that we are the powerful creator, and some things might fall away. A job, people, pastimes, habits, addictions, coping strategies, things start falling away. And we have to see that through a growth mindset and go, this is bringing me closer to what I've decided that I already am, or what is here for me, or what I want in my life. So really practice this lens. See everything through the lens of growth, through the lens of how is this actually strengthening my resolve, having me practice boundaries, having me practice regulating, having me practice, sinking in and knowing my truth and listening to my inner voice, because it's so much better than living a life where everything is set up for you to fail, or like just another reason why you can't do this and that. That's not the life I want for you. That's not the life I want for me. So I hope that you get something out of this today. The light and the dark are always present. Life is yin and yang. There are highs and lows. The key is to walk through it consciously. I want to say with a higher consciousness, where we raise up above our circumstances and look at it through a different lens. Magic is available to you now, even in the struggle. So notice where you're resisting. Notice maybe what lenses hold you back, keep you stuck. choose to pivot into your highest self, higher timeline anyway, because choice/free will is our power. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Whether you think it's a life set up against you or for you, you're right. Whether you think you can't get ahead in the economy or you can, you're right. You get to decide. So my love, if this struck a chord, if you are so ready for this, jump into Life of Magic and jump into On the Path. And we are going to move forward more in the next month, in the next 2 months than you have in a year. You are worth it. I'm so excited to connect with you, and I will see you in those containers and in the next episode. Okay, have a good day. Bye.